If you've ever thought the Amazon rainforest or remote mountain ranges were the most dangerous places on Earth, then you've been misled. The true terror lies beneath, deep in the ocean, in a world shrouded in perpetual darkness, where no sunlight reaches and pressure alone can crush steel like paper. But what's most horrifying isn't the silence, nor the pitch-black void. It's what lives down there, creatures so bizarre, so unnatural, they seem like nightmares carved into flesh. Why? If you're afraid of the dark, tight spaces, or malformed beings that defy biology as we know it, this is your last chance to turn back. But if you're brave enough to keep going, then brace yourself, because what's coming next is a creature that can literally shoot its own jaws out of its face. Welcome to the abyssal realm of the goblin shark, often called a living fossil for good reason. This nightmarish predator lurks at depths of over 1,300 meters, a zone beyond light and beyond warmth. Its snout is long and blade-like, protruding unnaturally from a face filled with jagged, translucent teeth. But the goblin shark's true horror lies in its mouth. When it senses prey, it doesn't lunge forward, its jaw does. No. In a fraction of a second, the entire lower jaw is launched outward from its skull, snatching prey before the victim even knows it's been targeted. Not by centimeters, but nearly 10% of its body length. Imagine drifting in total darkness, and suddenly from the black void, a spear-nosed figure rockets toward you, its mouth opening wide, then thrusting forward with a set of needle-like teeth that seem to explode from within. That's not hunting. That's ambush in its most terrifying form. And if you think that's unsettling, wait until you meet a creature whose teeth are so big, it literally cannot close its mouth. Introducing the fangtooth fish. Despite measuring just 6 to 8 inches in length, it has the largest teeth relative to body size of any known animal on Earth. Its fangs are so disproportionately large, they actually require special sockets on either side of its brain to accommodate them. If a human had similar proportions, your fangs would be almost 2 feet long. These monstrous teeth are not just for show, they're lethal. Fangtooths inhabit depths exceeding 5,000 meters, where even light itself is crushed by pressure. There, they hunt by sensing vibrations and water movement, snapping with terrifying speed and accuracy. Their vision is poor, but they don't need eyes in a place where light doesn't exist. They strike not by sight, but by sensing the tremble of life nearby. And once their jaws snap shut, nothing escapes. No chewing, no second bite, just a clean, deep, deathly puncture. But if you think a mouthful of fangs is the most dangerous thing in the deep, just wait. The next creature uses something even more deadly to lure its prey. Light. Descending to depths beyond 4,000 meters, we enter the hunting grounds of the viperfish. It looks like it was stitched together by a mad taxidermist. Long, sleek body, gaping jaw filled with saber-like teeth, and glowing photophore light, producing organs along its spine and head. These lights don't just illuminate, they deceive. In a world where light is the rarest commodity, even a flicker can mean food or doom. Viperfish dangle their glowing lures to attract unsuspecting prey. When something swims close to investigate the soft blue shimmer, the fish strikes with lightning speed. Its fangs, which curve so drastically they can pierce through its own skull, clamp down with such force that the prey has no chance of escape. Some bites are so deep that the viperfish must dislocate its jaw to free its own teeth. Its skin is thick, designed to survive immense pressure, and it doesn't need to feed often. Just once. Perfectly. But if you thought light was already dangerous, wait until you meet the creature that wears a cloak in the abyss. Like a vampire drifting through endless black, meet the vampire squid. And no, it doesn't drink blood. It doesn't have to. It thrives in the oxygen minimum zones of the deep ocean, places so hostile that almost nothing else survives. Technically a mix between squid and octopus, this creature lives between 600 to 900 meters deep. In the twilight zone, where oxygen is scarce and light is non-existent, its body glows with bioluminescence, not on the head, but at the tips of its tentacles and the end of its body, allowing it to disorient or confuse attackers. But its most terrifying feature is the cloaca webbing that connects each arm like a vampire escape. When threatened, it inverts this web, wrapping itself inside out to reveal dark, spine-like projections. To predators, it suddenly appears much larger and more dangerous than it truly is, an illusion born from desperation. And though its name invokes gothic horror, it feeds not on blood, but on marine snow, the drifting remains of plankton, fish scales, and tiny bones falling from the ocean's upper layers. A creature that glows in darkness, feeds on death, and hides inside a nightmarish cocoon when attacked. But the horrors don't end here, because what's coming next is a creature so ancient, so unchanged by time, that it has outlived dinosaurs and hunts by crushing prey, not with teeth, but with its muscular, horrifying tongue. Stay with me, because part 2 will take you to the jaws of prehistory. The deeper we go, the older time becomes. Down here, at the edge of the Hadal Zone, evolution has slowed to a crawl. Creatures are not just bizarre, they are ancient. Time does not move the same way. And in these blackened halls of silence, we meet one of the oldest monsters ever discovered, a ghost from before the age of mammals, unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. The frilled shark. Often dubbed a living relic, the frilled shark looks more like an eel than any modern shark. Its body is long and serpentine, with 6 pairs of gill slits that form a ruffled collar around its throat, hence the name. It slithers through the water like a ribbon of shadow, with slow, almost ritualistic movements, its body undulating like smoke and water. But the elegance is deceptive. Its head houses a terrifying arsenal, 300 trident-shaped teeth arranged in 25 rows, all pointing inward like a tunnel designed only to go one way. Once its prey is inside, there is no escape. It doesn't chew, doesn't shred, it simply bites down and then pulls them further and further into its throat. It swallows whole. Its method of hunting is one of the most efficient forms of capture nature has ever devised. And yet, despite its ancient lineage, the frilled shark remains a mystery. We rarely see it alive. When we do, it's often emaciated, drifting slowly, watching, waiting. But if the frilled shark is a predator of quiet patience, the creature we're about to meet next is a chaotic engine of pressure and speed. It lives even deeper, where sound itself seems to shatter, and it moves like a ghost with fangs, striking so fast that even cameras can catch the moment it attacks. Enter the black swallower. At first glance, it looks unimpressive, just a small charcoal gray fish, about the size of your hand. But what it can do will defy every instinct you have about survival, about limits, about what flesh is capable of. The black swallower has a stomach so distended, so expandable, that it can swallow prey over 10 times its own size. Think about that for a moment. Imagine eating an entire horse in one gulp. That's what this thing does on a regular basis. The swallower's lower jaw unhinges, the throat balloons outward, and it engulfs its prey completely, headfirst, before its body even realizes what's happening. There are records of swallowers exploding after consuming prey to large, their stomachs rupturing under the weight and decay of meals they couldn't finish. They are both victim and executioner of their own hunger, and it hunts in the dark with complete impunity. Other creatures need to see, to stalk, to chase. Not this one. It simply senses movement, lines up, and lunges. Once the prey is inside that cavernous sack of muscle and mucus, digestion begins almost instantly before the prey even dies. A stomach that doesn't wait for death. It creates it. But if you think that's the lowest we can go, think again. Because next, we'll explore creatures that never rise to the surface, that live in perpetual freezing pressure, whose bodies are so soft they collapse in open air, whose very existence questions what life even means. Welcome to the world of the deep-sea gelatinous monsters. One such creature is the barrel-eye fish. It looks like something out of a surrealist painting. Its head is completely transparent, and its eyes are inside the skull. That's right, inside. 2 glowing green tubes rotate within the fluid of its dome-like forehead, allowing it to look straight up through its own skull, watching for silhouettes of prey against the faint shimmer of surface light far above. Most people think those 2 spots on its face are eyes, but they're nostrils. The real eyes are hidden, gleaming, swiveling like periscopes. This is a creature designed by necessity and madness. In a world without light, without motion, and without speed, vision must be reimagined. The barrella does not chase. It floats. Still as a ghost, suspended in a jelly-like casing, its body nearly invisible. It waits for plankton or small jellies to drift into view, then strikes with surgical precision. It is a creature that watches the world through its own skin literally, and that skin paper thin. Touch it, and it tears like wet silk. Bring it to the surface, and the pressure difference causes its gelatinous head to collapse. It's a being that cannot exist outside its own darkness. And that brings us to an even stranger paradox. Some of the deep as most terrifying entities are not monsters made of rage or teeth but of silence, of stillness. They don't move much. They don't hunt, but they devour. Slowly, eternally. Next, we descend into the lair of a being with no face, no heart, and no brain. And yet, it consumes the dead, cleanses the deep, and may outlive us all. Prepare for the sea cucumber, the silent janitor of the underworld. At the furthest edge of the deep, where light has never touched, and life seems locked in a frozen pause, there exists a creature so strange, so biologically paradoxical that scientists still debate what category it truly belongs. To an animal plant, something in between. It's the sea cucumber. A name that sounds harmless, even a little cute. But don't let that fool you. The sea cucumber has no brain, no heart, no eyes, yet it survives longer, deeper, and more quietly than nearly any other living thing in the ocean. It doesn't swim, doesn't hunt, and doesn't run. It simply lies there or slowly creeps along the seafloor, ingesting sediment grain by grain, digesting the tiny fragments of death scattered across the bottom and excreting clean sand behind it. They are living recycling systems, biological vacuum cleaners for the dead. But the truly unsettling part, when threatened, the sea cucumber will violently eject its own internal organs, shooting out white slimy entrails from its anus as a bizarre form of self-defense. It distracts predators with its own guts. And if it survives, it can regrow its entire digestive system in days. No pain, no blood, just meat and silence, resetting itself. And it's not the only shapeless resident of the abyss. There are creatures even more bizarre, so soft, so formless, that their entire body can reshape under pressure, flowing like oil in a bottle. These are the ghost organisms. Some don't have a permanent shape, some don't have spines, some don't even have cells like ours, and we know next to nothing about them. Why? Because when we bring them to the surface, they dissolve, literally. Their bodies collapse and melt before they can even be studied. No specimens, no genetic samples, no record, just disappearance. But amidst all that softness and silence, there are hunters. Hidden among the jelly and muck, waiting for days, even weeks, for the perfect moment to strike. And among them, none is more haunting than the gulper, eel creature, designed to consume, not to kill. The gulper eel looks like a serpentine body, thin and black, that ends in a massive balloon-like head. The mouth alone can open wide enough to engulf creatures far larger than itself, inflating like a parachute of muscle. Its teeth aren't long or sharp, but hook inward like tiny barbs. Once something enters that cavernous jaw, there's no turning back. The gulper doesn't need to chew. It just swallows and disappears into stillness for days or even weeks while it digests its prize in the cold dark. But perhaps most disturbing of all is its lure. At the end of its whip-like tail is a glowing bulb, its own personal fishing light. A blinking, dancing light in the darkness, irresistible to small fish and crustaceans. They follow the light, they always do, and when they get close enough, the balloon opens, the trap springs, the ocean claims another. In the deep, light is not salvation. It is deception, a glowing promise, a lie. The brighter it shines, the more likely it is to kill you. And yet some of the ocean's most unbelievable beings aren't monstrous in size, or teeth, or appetite, but in concept. Creatures that bend the rules of life and death. Creatures that don't just survive, they restart. Meet Toratopsis dorni, the immortal jellyfish. It's tiny, barely a few millimeters across, translucent, delicate, and unassuming. But it holds a power that defies biology itself. When this jellyfish is injured, starving, or even dying, it doesn't die. It reverts, transforms its cells back into a younger state, returning to its polyp form, the very first stage of its life. Then, it starts again. From scratch, It can do this not once, but over and over. A loop of rebirth, age, collapse, regeneration, age again, a biological time loop that should not exist. But it does. If it isn't eaten or diseased, the immortal jellyfish could theoretically live forever. Think about that. In a world where survival often goes to the strongest, fastest, or fiercest, this fragile, defenseless jelly could outlast everything, including us. But even that isn't the end, because next, we'll face the strangest creature yet, a living paradox that doesn't swim, doesn't walk, doesn't even have a mouth, but it still hunts. It rises from the ocean floor with sticky arms and a body like glue, and when it catches something, it doesn't chew, it dissolves. In the next part, you'll meet a being that eats without eating, moves without moving, and blurs the very definition of what life is. The ocean is done with rules. What's coming next? We've seen creatures that can swallow prey many times their size, beings that are biologically immortal, and entities so fragile they dissolve when touched by sunlight. But now, we descend into a different kind of nightmare place, where the line between predator and prey blurs, where life no longer adheres to any definition we understand. Because the creature you're about to meet doesn't have a mouth, yet it feeds. It has no legs, yet it moves. It has no eyes, yet it hunts. Meet the slime star. At first glance, the slime star looks like an oversized sea star, glossy, soft, and gelatinous. Its body spread across the ocean floor like a slow, pulsing shadow. But behind this seemingly passive form lies a hunting method that is as silent as it is horrifying. It doesn't chase, doesn't strike, it spreads. Slowly and patiently, it extends its arms outward until it covers its prey, small crustaceans. Clams or worms strapping them under its body like a sticky death blanket. Once enveloped, the slime star begins to secrete digestive enzymes directly through its skin.
Melting the prey from the outside in.
No bites, no wounds, just dissolution. Flesh turns to fluid, bones to sludge. Hours later, the slime star absorbs the liquefied nutrients through the soft membrane beneath its body and silently glides away, leaving behind nothing but splotches in the sand and a memory of what once existed there. No sound, no struggle, just vanishing. Despite this slow, ooze-like method of predation, the slime star can live for decades. It has few natural enemies, and its resilience is uncanny. It doesn't need to fight, it just outlasts. But if you thought that was the coldest method of killing in the deep, hold that thought. Because now, you'll meet a creature that doesn't melt its prey, but shocks it literally. This predator hides beneath the sand, invisible, silent, until it strikes with pure electricity. Enter the electric ray. It's not particularly fast or flashy. In fact, it's often just a shadow buried beneath the ocean floor, camouflaged in the soft sediment. But once something wanders too close, this unassuming creature unleashes a bioelectric burst of over 200 volts, enough to stun, immobilize, or even kill a medium-sized fish. That voltage is more than what's needed to power your home's lighting circuit. And it's delivered with surgical precision. The electric ray doesn't need to chase its prey. It waits, calculates, then strikes without warning. The prey doesn't struggle, it seizes up, helpless, and is swallowed whole. But what's truly frightening is the control. The electric ray can modulate its voltage, adjusting the frequency and intensity of its discharge. It can send a weak jolt as a warning, a stronger one to stun, or a full burst to kill. This isn't just a blunt weapon, it's a tool of intentional biological engineering, wielded with the kind of control that almost seems intelligent. In a realm where eyes are useless and sound is swallowed by the water, electricity becomes language. It becomes power. You've seen hunters that hide in mud, and those that float like ghosts. But what about a predator that lives in the light? A being that glows, not to lure but to communicate. A creature made not of one body, but of thousands, acting as one. Get ready to meet one of the strangest entities ever discovered in the deep ocean, the siphonophore. At first, it might look like a giant jellyfish, long, glowing, ethereal. But the truth is far stranger. Siphonophore isn't a single organism. It's a colony. A vast, coordinated society of tiny creatures called zooids, each one genetically identical, but specialized for a single function. One zooid moves, another digests, another catches prey, another glows. Alone, each is useless. But together, they become a creature, a floating nightmare. Some siphonophores can stretch for over 150 feet longer than a blue whale. They pulse with bioluminescent waves that shimmer across their bodies like Morse code made of stars. Scientists believe this isn't random, it's communication, a call to gather. A system of signals passed down the line, allowing the colony to coordinate its movement, organize its hunt, and encircle prey. When something gets too close, it's ensnared in a curtain of stinging tentacles, paralyzed and slowly passed down the chain to a zooid responsible for digestion. Every part works like a machine. Alive, this machine is alive. What's most terrifying isn't the teeth or the sting, it's the structure. This is intelligence without a brain, cooperation without language. A system of specialized roles functioning perfectly in sync. Built by instinct, refined by pressure, and powered by ancient biology. No part survives alone. Together, they form something greater than any individual could be. A living network. A biological collective. A floating strategy. But even this magnificent, horrific example of evolutionary organization isn't the end. Because next, we confront the greatest mystery of the deep. Not the creatures we know, but the ones we don't. Not the monsters we've seen, but the ones that remain hidden. The ones that slip between submersibles, evade cameras, and leave behind only trails in the mud and sonar shadows in the water. In the final part, we'll explore the chilling question that keeps oceanographers awake at night. What if the real monsters haven't been discovered yet? What if the most dangerous beings alive are the ones we're too afraid to find? From the beginning of this journey, you've seen creatures that glow to kill, that launch their jaws like harpoons, that dissolve prey into liquid, reset their lives like rewinding a clock. But now, this final chapter takes a different turn. Because it's not about introducing yet another terrifying species, it's about facing the greatest truth of all. That over 90% of the deep ocean remains unexplored by humankind. We've sent probes to the moon. We've launched rovers to Mars. And yet the depths of our own planet, places like the Mariana Trench, the Tonga Trench, and the Kermadec remain shrouded in darkness, untouched, unknown. Why? It's not just the lack of technology. It's that life down there challenges everything we thought we understood. The pressure is over 1,000 times that of the surface. The temperatures are near freezing. There's no light, no oxygen, no GPS, no communication. Every time we send a submersible down thousands of meters, we risk losing it entirely. And sometimes, what we get back is a blurry clip, a shadow, a movement that's too large, too slow, or too still to identify. Sonar signals bounce off shapes bigger than any known wall, yet they emit no heat, no biological signature. Remote-controlled submarines have gone dark within seconds of reaching certain depths, and no one knows whether that's a malfunction, something else waiting in the dark. Scientists call these places dead zones. No life officially recorded, and yet no machine has ever returned unscathed. Theories emerge. Could true monsters still exist down there? Creatures that never evolved, that simply persisted, ancient, massive, and terrifyingly silent? Some oceanographers believe creatures larger than the extinct megalodon may still dwell in uncharted marine trenches. Leviathans stretching hundreds of feet, perfectly adapted to pitch-black pressure zones, moving so rarely, so slowly, that they leave only ripples in sediment and sonar echoes. Places where not even curiosity survives intact. These beings, if they exist, may not even be hostile. They may not hunt, they may simply move. And that movement alone would be enough to shift thousands of tons of water, to scatter fish and jelly like dust, to awaken the silence into a tremor. We may never see them, but perhaps they see us. There are records of odd disruptions in deep-sea currents, unexplained whirlpools, devices that lose signal without mechanical failure. Signs, traces, not proof, but not fiction either. Perhaps the most terrifying truth is not what we know, but what we don't. That the real monsters aren't the ones we've documented, but the ones that slipped past the cameras, the ones that left no footage, just absence. And maybe, just maybe, the scariest thing at the bottom of the ocean isn't teeth, or venom, or glowing deception. Maybe it's the quiet, The perfect ancient stillness that waits not for us to discover it, but for us to disturb it. In that blackness, 11,000 meters beneath your feet, where even light has never touched. What if something is watching? What if something has always been watching? Because the ocean isn't empty. It's secretive, guarded, and perhaps eternally so. Thank you for staying with this journey to the end, a journey not meant to make you braver, but to make you fear a little more wisely. If this changed the way you see the sea, the dark, or even the limits of what life can be, then don't forget to follow the channel, because there are many more truths waiting to surface not above our heads in the stars, but below our feet, in the deepest, darkest, and least understood place on Earth.